Dear viewers, welcome again to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you're well from wherever you're watching this channel. I'd like to start this session by appreciating you so much for making this channel grow. If you wish to support us, just subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. I want to start by taking you back to last year. There is a very interesting thing about MIGUNA, because word has it that MIGUNA has severally blasted the government over the finance bill. So I want to take you to last year. Soon as after Chebukati made that announcement or pronouncement about William Ruto being the president-elect, MIGUNA was one of the first people to congratulate William Ruto. And from the words that followed from MIGUNA, it was as if God had finally given us a president we've always wanted, and that he insinuated that William Ruto was going to be one of the best presidents here in Kenya, and that the manifesto that he championed was going to be one of the best manifestos that Kenyans have always wanted or waited for. But if that is the case, and of course we saw MIGUNA came back to Kenya, and one of the tasks that was given to MIGUNA was that he was supposed to take the all of Nyanza from Raila Amolo Odinga, and that failed because he thought that initially the crowd that used to be with that he used to see was his, only to realize that the crowd was not his. The crowd belonged to Raila Amolo Odinga. When he came back and in that move of trying to grab Nyanza, all did not work for him. So let us go to what MIGUNA has told William Samoei Ruto, which appears to be someone who has made a total U-turn on the government that he was in support of. So Dr. MIGUNA, strongly blasted William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua for implementing a bill that is not being welcomed by Kenyans, despite growing conspicuous voices of discontent from Kenyans, civil society groups, private businesses, and the opposition coalition. So Dr. MIGUNA seems to be echoing the words of Raila Amolo Odinga, because he has advised William Ruto to totally withdraw the Finance Bill 2023, as well as postpone the implementation of housing levy that has proven extremely unpopular with a section, in fact a huge section of Kenyans. MIGUNA is now calling on the commander-in-chief to hire new, independent and truthful advisors, in addition to reshuffling the communication team that he argues should have at least 2 or 3 fresh faces. He goes ahead to ask Ruto not to surround himself and rely primarily on yes men and women to run the government. Also of concern of the outspoken lawyer is the recent appointments in key government jobs. I want to underscore the part, yes, men and women. Of course, that is the truth. I agree with MIGUNA, because William Ruto has surrounded himself with people who only say yes to literally everything. Today, if you wake up and say, we want to build houses on the sky or in the sky, they will tell you, yes, William Ruto, that is possible. In fact, take all their salary and build them homes in the sky. MIGUNA is trying to refer to those kind of people. People will say yes to literally everything, things that are possible and things that are impossible to implement. What does that mean? That means MIGUNA has finally seen the light. He has seen the light at the end of the tunnel, and he's short of confirmed that Raila Amolo Odinga is right in his words. That whatever Raila Amolo Odinga has been calling for is the old truth. What makes people or amuses so many people now is that Raila talked about these things previously when he reminded people, and people kept telling him, give the government a chance. Of course, these mandamanos would not have been there if Raila Amolo Odinga had not seen that this is what was going to happen. He saw that this was going to happen, and that's why he called for the demonstrations. So the demonstrations were called with a reason. The reason was to counter this kind of things. So now Kenyans themselves are demonstrating without Raila Amolo Odinga's involvement. That speaks volume. That says it all. And for that reason, Miguna for the first time, I agree with him. I agree with you, Dr. Miguna, if you're watching this channel. Because it is true that William Ruto has surrounded himself with familiar faces of people who are only hell-bent in their own self-interests, not the interests of the common mwananchi. Self-interest. So Miguna is totally right, and I agree with him 150%. Miguna goes further to say that there is a perception within the Kenyan populace that only two tribes benefit and at the expense of other equally deserving Kenyans. Isn't this what Raila Amolo Odinga said on Sunday when he said that there are tribes ambazo zimepewa hizi vyeo vingi, tribes mbili? In fact, he should have said one tribe has benefited. The rest of the tribes are only meant to pay taxes. Just pay taxes. You pay taxes, we give jobs to these two tribes, but you just pay taxes. So it's tax after tax after tax. I agree with Dr. Miguna again. This is true because if you look at the appointments, we don't want to talk about these appointments sana hivyo because we've talked about them previously during Maandamanos. We talked about these things. So I don't want us to delve much on this, though it is true that only two tribes benefited. There's a time we made an analysis on the county government of Nakuru, whereby there was nepotism, and the courts had stopped the appointments of chief executive members of that committee of that county because there was the issue of nepotism. Because Nakuru County, being a metropolitan county just like just like Nairobi, has so many tribes in it. I see there are Luos, Kikuyus, Kambas, Luyas, most Swahilis are there. I mean, Mijikenda, some of them are there. We talked about Teso, Kisis. So the county governor, Susan Kihika there, appointed two tribes again. And the court stopped that process because there was no way only two tribes would be given those positions, despite the fact that the constitution is clear about this kind of balancing in terms of appointment. So the court decided to stop that appointment, and but we saw these things, the same things recur in the national government. But this time around, the courts did not stop the appointments. So Miguna has noted that William Ruto has appointed Kalenjins and Kikuyus into the government at the expense of other Kenyans. At the expense of other Kenyans means other Kenyans are only going to pay these inflated taxes, and then only two tribes benefit. Not good for this society, and I think I agree with Dr. Miguna. I could not agree more on this. Dr. Miguna is right in his words. Miguna also, in his third point, I think in this point, he addressed Rigathi Gachagua directly when he said that the government should drop any reckless talk on this emotive and divisive topic, saying that it is political suicide on the part of the government. He implored that William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua not to be defensive or argue with the people. He argues regimes that are ignorant of the suffering and discontent of their people fall from grace too fast as he draws in how the late president suffered a humiliating defeat in a referendum 2 years after winning the presidency with a landslide. It is shocking, yes, I know, it's shocked, just like I'm shocked to hear Miguna make this kind of submissions, but it's okay because part of his statement, he talks about growing, he talks about something about Raila Amolo Odinga. What does he say? He says that Raila is gaining political mileage as Ruto and his soldiers failed to engage Kenyans in a transparent, respectful, and accountable manner. There's a time I said, I think my like 4 to 5 videos I made here, the past 4 to 5 videos, I said, should elections be held today, Raila Amolo Odinga will get not less than 9 million. Not less than 9 million votes. He got 8 million according to the whistleblower. He will get 1 million from Rift Valley, part of them, and from Mount Kenya. That is a sad reality, because the hustlers in Mount Kenya and the hustlers in Rift Valley will vote for him. So that's why Dr. Miguna said he is gaining political mileage. Raila is gaining political mileage. I don't know why Kenya Kwanza are not seeing this, but they will see it when the right time comes, when the rebellion shall have grown to a level whereby now there is no way they can contain it. And that, if that happens, or should that happen, then rest assured, the government itakuwa iko doomed completely. So dear viewers, allow me to wind up there. Please, I'd like to hear from you what you'd like to say regarding Dr. Miguna's comments, the comments regarding Ruto and the government and the finance bill 2023, and his take on the growing political mileage in Raila Amolo Odinga. So, as you give me your comments, I'd like to urge you to stay safe and stay blessed until we catch up again in our next analysis.